Welcome back to Corporate Strategies with Tim Connolly, brought to you by Turnaround Partners. Jan Carson, executive producer. Now, here's Tim Connolly.
And Gary Chella in Greenwich, Connecticut. And we have a pretty unique guest with us today. I want to tell you a little bit about this company and introduce our guest. The company is Medical Marijuana, Inc. The ticker symbol is MJNA, which I got tickled over that the SEC would actually give out a ticker symbol that great for a company like this. And the medical marijuana is about the medical marijuana industry, and it's newly emerging. I'm sure many of you read recently that the Supreme Court declined to review California's medical marijuana law, which means that there is going to be some expansion in all of this. There are over 1,000 co-ops actively operating in the state of California alone. And so we are very fortunate that we have the CEO of Medical Marijuana with us on the show today, Bruce Perlowin. Bruce, welcome to the show. And I want to acknowledge my son, Sean, who was cold calling you and found you on the phone because he was so interested in having you on our show.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me on.
I'd love to hear about the history of your company and some of the background here, because this is a very, very interesting space. And frankly, we've never had anyone like you or your company on the show in 12 years we've been on the air.
Well, thank you. We'll start off a little quick about the history. We were a public company called Club VivaNet, and we were doing debit cards and gift cards in pretty large accounts, one government and Pacific back rim countries and some very huge other customers. And we're working in Florida, and I flew out to do an interview with CNBC on my background. 30 years ago, I was a marijuana smuggler, so they wanted to cover that in this documentary. And that was airing on TV, and my partner's watching all this happen. And then one day we're sitting there in our office, and a guy walks into the office and says, well, New Jersey just became the 13th state. And he looks up and he goes, what? He goes, yep, the 13th state to legalize medical marijuana. And he goes, are you kidding me? There's 13 states in America that have legalized medical marijuana? And he said, yeah. So we started studying it, and real quickly, we decided, well, maybe we should get into this industry. My background is in that industry, and so he then President Obama and the United States Attorney General said that they will stop interfering with state laws. There will be no more federal raids on dispensaries. Well, at that point, as a public company, we decided it's safe to go into the business because they're not raiding the dispensaries anymore. And so we decided to pack up, we did a name change first. And the day we did a name change, our stock went through the roof.
That's amazing. So, and has there been any feedback from the SEC or anything about your background as a smuggler or any of that, or are they just kind of leaving it alone and letting you go build the company?
No, that was 30 years ago. SEC is a relatively intelligent group of people, and they know what you did as a kid growing up has nothing to do with how you behave as an adult. And Don and I have had 3 companies that were also the fastest growing in those particular industries. One was the phone cards, and in the phone card industry, the birth of phone cards in America, and the second was international telecom during the telecommunications explosion worldwide. So we have a history of, way after my years in prison for being a smuggler, of building giant companies. So this is not unusual, this kind of rapid growth that we've experienced. It's just the fastest that we've ever quite experienced. We moved into momentum the first 2 weeks.
Well, it's really interesting to me, and we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we'll be back, that you have developed a financial management system to help local, state, and federal governments actually receive those tax revenues and do it in real time, maybe tracking it on a daily basis. That's got to be a pretty valuable tool for the state of California these days, who's looking for a guarantor for $25 billion. So I'd like you to tell us more about that after the break. And, of course, we will be back with the CEO of Medical Marijuana, Inc. We'll be having a few messages from our sponsors and getting all kinds of interesting information on what's obviously going to be a big market for this company's products in the United States. Back. back right after this.
Call in now, 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225 to reach Corporate Strategies with Tim Connolly and Mike King.
And, of course, we've got Gary Cella co-hosting with me today, and our guest, the CEO of Medical Marijuana, Inc., Bruce Perlowin. And, Bruce, while you reacted very quickly to this opportunity in the market, what have you been doing to develop such a unique service for all these governments? That took a lot of foresight to be building a financial management system for people to actually control the sales of medical marijuana.
Right. Well, when we first looked at the industry, we said, I don't think we actually want to be in the business of buying and selling marijuana. Okay, we did that when I was a kid, and even though it's legal now, we said that, it's a little bit too risky to risk that with a public company. So let's find the solutions. And all over TV, you look at what the solutions are, or the problems are, and the first problem was taxes. How do you get the government wants to pay their taxes? Everybody's operating, a lot of them are operating, and they're not paying their taxes. They're collecting cash under the table. It's going from illegitimate to a legitimate industry, so we're in that transition period. So helping the government to collect the taxes and helping the dispensaries to pay their taxes and not get raided, because that is a violation of state law, and that's still illegal, we came up with a solution. It was a natural progression for us because Club VivaNet, like I said, they did debit cards. So we figured out that we can use our processing platform to segue out the taxes for the state, in any state, doesn't matter, in this case it's California, and the city. If there's city taxes in LA, it's 1.27% taxes. And we can do a lot of other things with that. Once you have a platform that can make money go anywhere you want, you can use it to repay a loan, you can use it to prepay for your products. But taxes was our first thought, because once you pay the taxes, you make the government happy, they like you, and of course, we'd love to get government contracts. That's what we're doing. So for now, the taxes segue out and go into a separate account for the dispensary. And at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, whenever they're supposed to pay their taxes, they write a check for exactly what's in that account. There's not a dime more or a dime less due to the state or the city, because it's automatically pulled out with every sale. Now they're going to pay their taxes. However, if we do get a government contract, we can remit those taxes daily. Now, let's face it, the governments of California and the cities and all the states are in economic financial trouble. They need revenue. This is one of the largest amounts of places that they can get a huge amount of revenue, and they can get it on a daily basis. And like you said earlier, we could do it with every sale. We could remit it real time, but it costs 90 cents for that ACH transfer. It's okay. I think the government will be fine with getting it at the end of the day. But think of how powerful that is to get daily. They expect the sales in California, if they totally legalize marijuana, to be $14 billion in sales with a revenue of $1.7 billion in taxes. Think about how great that is. What a solution for the governments to get that tax money every day.
I think you could sell medical marijuana bonds based on that kind of revenue stream, which is what they need to do. Now, tell me this, Bruce, why would governments not do this anyway on all sales taxes? It seems to me that when you have a bad economy, people start stealing the sales taxes and don't remit anyway. Wouldn't this system you've developed work on any kind of product sold?
That's a brilliant question, and it's one that I realized when I first came out with this card. I said, wow, we're getting a patent on this technology, and although it's easy to use in a medical marijuana dispensary because it's a single item or multiple items, but this actually can be used in any drugstore, in any grocery store, anywhere in the world, anywhere in any state, and we own the patent on it. Or we don't own the patent. We have a patent pending. We filed you have to get your patent, but right now no one else is going to want to do that. No one else thought of it because they didn't know that they would be violating our patent. So you are right. In fact, we do have one store in Florida that has ordered it. It's not legal in Florida for their Western wear store. And they're going to do it just because it's easier for the bookkeeping. And their taxes will pay automatically. If we get a contract with the state of Florida, at least that store will be able to pay their taxes on a daily basis.